Will Wade took over the NC State basketball program this offseason. Will Wade continues to prove that he knows how to play the game. And I'm not just talking about basketball. I'm not saying he knows how to, scheme up a baseline out of bounds play coming out of a timeout with under 2. We still got to see that. He's proven that at McNeese. He's proven that at other parts of his career, but we have to see if that translates to his team at State this year. But I'm becoming more and more aware that he knows how to play the away from the court game. That is becoming more and more important. The modern basketball, media-driven attention is currency, right? Buzz and Q score is important. Maybe even a little too much, but I like that because I'm an overanalyzer, so, keep giving me things to talk about. Day 2 of the draft was yesterday, okay? Day 2 of the draft was yesterday, and there was no chance, really, that an NC State player would be selected. There was chances that other ACC teams would have players picked and other teams that they compete with for prospects would have picked. And his crosstown rivals and Duke and UNC both had players drafted on day 1. And so really what would normally happen in this situation is for a couple of days, nobody would talk about NC State because there would be so much else going on. There would be players signing their free agent deals and deciding where they're going to go to summer league, and there'd be Con Knippel for Duke was already practicing in Charlotte today. He was working out at the facility with the Hornets coaching staff. Like they're already, all of that is going on, and there would be no reason to talk about NC State. So what does Will do? Yesterday, he went on with Jon Rothstein of CBS Sports on his podcast, one of the biggest podcasts, and Jon Rothstein has 500,000 followers just on Twitter, and he's one of those guys that all year round is college basketball. So Will Wade goes there and kind of tries to fight headlines with headlines, right? So sure, the NBA talk may be about Duke having all 5 starters taken. The NBA talk may be about Drake Powell going right at the top of his mock draft range at 22nd overall when some had him falling into the second round. That may have been the NBA talk, but the college talk, driven by one of the tastemakers in college, Jon Rothstein. I mean, Jon Rothstein called, and I listened to the podcast like 36, 37 minutes long. He called... I almost feel goofy doing it, but Rothstein has these little sayings, right? He has these little quips, these taglines. He called Will Wade the American gangster a whole bunch of times, and then he also called him the Raleigh renegade for a bunch of times. And I'm going like, you know what?
That might stick.
If there's no reason to be talking about your program, and somehow you got on one of the biggest podcasts in college basketball and had him calling you things like the American gangster and the Raleigh renegade, that's fighting headlines with headlines. Of course, we have some of the audio for you, and of course, we'll play it for you. There was a good amount of Will Wade kind of playing the hits, the stuff that he said on this show, the stuff that he said in his introductory press conference, the stuff that he said on other media deals. We're going to get better, we're going to build in the transfer portal early, and then hopefully a different strategy later, and all in that. And that's great. That's good. Get your messaging out. He also built, once again, as most state coaches do, built into the blue-collar nature of the school, which was the first clip we'll play for you. Here's Will Wade with Rothstein.
We're the working man's school. We're a blue-collar, hardworking school. We got to find players that embrace that, and that want to be a part of that, and that want to represent who our people are. And I think that that's who I am. I think that's who my staff is. I think if we find players that embrace that and want to be a part of that, that we're going to be very, very successful.
Every time, and I know they all do it, when Dave Doran does it, right? We're the blue-collar, hard-working school. It does sound like you're talking to other schools going, ha-ha, hoity-toity. Oh, so Silver Spoon, and you know which schools that they would be talking about for that. Even though, part of what Will Wade does to the NC State basketball program is he brings a commitment and a financial commitment, and now they're spending NIL money. It's not like, they're going to the roofer. They're becoming roofers in July in Florida. You know what I mean? They're playing basketball and paying kids just like everybody else, but they're building that identity. The other thing they're doing is really hyping up Darion Williams. I am now expecting a better player from Darion Williams than we saw even at Texas Tech last year. Dennis, let's skip to the second Darion Williams clip. This is what Will Wade had to say. The question that was asked to set it up is there a player you've coached or a player you've watched that evokes memories of Darion Williams? Like, is there someone you can compare him to? And Will Wade's talked about trying to evolve Williams' game.
We're trying to transition his game a little bit more, where he's been more of kind of a back to the basket and really a four, and we want to kind of turn him into more of a hybrid, really showcases guard skills and being able to do a few different things like that. So kind of who he was and who we're transitioning him to be are a little bit different. But I know this: he's a really, really good basketball player. He's going to be a great college player. He's going to be a very, very good NBA player for a long time as well.
Interesting to go get one of the biggest, best players in the transfer portal by darn near every single ranking site out of Texas Tech. And then go, he's a back to the basket player when he was scoring his 15 and 8 or whatever he was doing at Texas Tech and helping them become one of the best teams in the country. Let's turn him into a guard. Let's give him some guard skills. But maybe that just shows how talented the young man is. We'll play some more audio for you later, so we won't get to it all today. But then there's the thing that Will Wade does. Let's go to the last clip here. This is the one that not many coaches do. And I asked him about it when he was on the show last, and he kind of just said, well, what am I supposed to say? We're not going to win. And I get it, but also every other coach doesn't do this, right? There's a lot of coaches that coach speak their way through it. Will Wade, he says it, we're going to, not we want to, we're going to win. And it sounded like this.
Well, we're going to win now. I mean, they want to win, we want to win, and we're going to win. So I tell our team, I like my food in a microwave, not a crock pot. Like, we got to get this done and get it done quick. There's no slow roast here. But look, I think, we got good players. That's the first part. You have good players, put it in the system, build it from the ground up with our foundation. And I think we got a chance to have a good team that's competitive. When I say competitive, we want to be in the top 4 of the league, get the double bye in the conference tournament, not play our first conference tournament game till Thursday, whenever that may be. And if you do that, by the time you tip off on Thursday, you're already going to be in the NCAA tournament. You're playing for seeding at that point,
right?
And you can be in good shape. And if we can do that consistently, over a 5-year span, that's our goal, to do that every year. And if we do that every year, we're going to like the results of most of those years.
There's a certain numbing that I get to hearing coaches talk. Okay? And I'm sure for some of you it happens as well, like the true sports like diehards that you catch all the press conferences where for most answers from head coaches, you tune out because you're just, I've heard this a million times before. So when something is unique, when something is said different, something is said that you don't hear often, is brought up, my ears perk up and I go, whoa. What Will Wade just said there is quite literally the exact opposite of what most coaches say. I like my food in a microwave, not in a what do you call it, a crock pot. Most coaches, in part to like as a job security move, they say like, oh, we're building this thing in a crock pot. It's a slow burn. We got to get the culture. And then over time, it's going to be what we want. Nobody wants the food in the microwave. You get the microwave food when you're lazy and you haven't planned dinner and you just go, I got some frozen stuff in the freezer. We just throw it in the microwave. We could be eating in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Like that's what he wants. That's so different. Most coaches say things like Rome wasn't built in a day. Most coaches say like we're just trying to get 1% better each day, and hopefully when we look back on the long trip, we've accomplished our goals. And instead he's like, no, we want to win. We want to win now. And then the other thing coaches do is they usually avoid putting thresholds, right? Other than saying things like, our goal is always to win a national championship, and where they go out of their way to make you know that they think everyone should be saying that, right? Every coach every team that's worth their weight in salt is going to say that their goal is to win championships. So our goal is to win championships. I'm like, all right, well, you just negated saying it because you're saying it doesn't matter how good you are. You should always say it. He goes, oh, no, we're going to win. We're going to win now. And what does winning mean? It means being one of the top 4 teams in the ACC and getting the double bye and not playing until Thursday in the ACC tournament. Again, where most coaches don't set those thresholds so they can't fail, right? At the end of the day, right, they start playing on Tuesday and they get eliminated by Wednesday, and then their post-game press conference is, our goal is always to develop these young people into young men, and we've gotten better and we've improved every day. I know our win-loss record may not show it, but this season was a success. Will Wade can't do that. He can't put that lipstick on a pig in a postseason press conference unless they don't play till Thursday in the ACC tournament. He has put a actual deal on there. It's unusual and it's different. And I have to say, maybe it's just because it's refreshing and it's not the same exact thing you hear. I've enjoyed it. And to say it when everybody else is talking about all the players getting drafted, that's just like a modern basketball ninja move. Let me steal a couple of headlines here. Let me steal I almost said column inches, like we were in the 1920s writing newspaper.
Yeah, going above the fold here?
Yeah, exactly. Let me see if we can sneak one on the side column above the fold. No, but it's grabbing a couple links on some blogs. It's saying Drake Powell higher than expected. Duke, all 5 starters drafted. Will Wade guarantees top 4 in the ACC. Like you're stealing some headlines, some column inches for the old timers.